So, I've been scanning online and looking at a lot of videos and hearing a lot of people talk about things, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out. There's a lot of fear being pumped out. And it's one of those unprecedented times, It's just how it is at the moment. And everyone's doing the best they can, so they say, and other people are saying there's a big manipulation going on, and it's probably a bit of all of that. But the thing that really we need to touch on, as the crow makes it sound, is that we need to let go of this fear of what may happen, which ultimately that unfamiliar uncertainty equals in the deeper mind, the coding of the mind, equals death. We're all afraid of death. That's what it boils down to. And so when the economy collapses, it equals death. When there's a virus pandemic, it equals death. When you get stood down from your job, it equals death. People are all going through this process of being thrust into the feeling of separation, being isolated, not allowing to be close to other people, not allowed to interact in your normal community, whether it's the gym or your martial arts school or your art school or your university or your job, whatever it was that made up your identity, your lifestyle, it's been thrown pretty much out the window. The rug's been pulled out from under us, and everyone's been knocked for a six, as we say in Australia. That was a cricket reference. If you didn't get the reference, check the reference. So we're being really confronted with this fear of death, and where everyone's sort of skirting around is that, how do you not be afraid of death? And it's a really profound question, and it's one that most people, especially who are tied into the mainstream media, and are bought into the program or adopted the mainstream conditioning program, it's kind of like, the whole life is set up around, avoiding thinking about death, like life's amazing, everything's cool, and I'll live forever, and I'm Superman or I'm Superwoman, and look at my Instagram page and look at how great my life is and all that sort of stuff, and how happy I am all the time. And this has really thrown everyone into the light, basically. It's like, how do you deal with actually confronting pain? The thought of pain, the thought of poverty, the thought of being broke, the thought of not having a job, not being able to pay your bills, thought of death, losing people around you, losing your own life. How do you deal with that? And a lot of people spiral down, and they consume fear until it fills them up and it overloads, and they start pumping it out into the world. And I don't think that's the way to go, because I think what we need to do is take a more spiritual approach. And if you really are getting into it, you're not just doing yoga and meditating, and appearing to be a spiritual person. If you're actually doing this, it boils down. If you're a seeker and you're researching and you're hunting down the truth, then eventually you will come to that barrier. And if you're brave enough to pierce the barrier of death, then you will go beyond. And then you realize the truth that death is an illusion, right? It's like, and I've said this before, it's like we're in a matrix program. And when you go through you pop out, you take off the lens, right? And you're not immersed in that reality anymore. And you're in the operating system, or you're beyond the operating, you're the program of programming the program. And then you can begin to choose how you come back, and a lot of the spiritual masters, the teachers, the monks that are in the hermitage, in the Himalayas, on their own, in isolation, boarded up, bricked up inside the hermitage for days and weeks and months and however long, putting their bodies into a state of suspended animation, putting themselves into a time of no time. Go and they touch on that aspect of death, and they go beyond it, and they realize that they can become anyone, anywhere, at any time. Okay, and it's all just a state. It's all happening inside your mind. All these five senses, all they're doing is bringing in, absorbing information, or the information that you're absorbing is what you're putting out there anyway. You're the projector and the observer. So what you're observing is what you're projecting. Okay, and yes, you'd be like, why am I projecting this then? I wouldn't project this. Well, you know what? It's probably deep in the unconscious collective, right? And it's due for, I said this the other day, it's due for a huge upgrade. It's due for a massive overhaul, okay? And you can't do that by clicking on the icons on your desktop, baby. You got to go deep. You got to go right into the source code, and you've got to see what's actually there and understand the problem that you're dealing with before you go about fixing it and changing it. And so what are we confronted with? Separation. What are we confronted with? Isolation, loneliness, fear of death, fear of losing, all this stuff. But I tell you what, when you go there and you sit with it and you get through it, you start to realize that it's just you, right? It's just you sitting on the couch, and right in this moment, there's nothing actually happening to you, right? All the things you're stressing about and you're worried about and you're afraid of is a projection of the future that you are imagining. And when you finally get to that perceived date in the future, it's probably going to be nothing like you imagine anyway. In fact, I can guarantee you it's going to be nothing like you've imagined. Okay, you might hit a few points and get some things and go, see, I told you it was going to be like this. Well, maybe you could predict some of the things based on the patterns you could observe, but it's always going to show up in a way you'd least expect. So please, guys, just relax, okay? Let go of your identity. Let go of your personality. Let go of the economic system. Let go of the world that you think, is real. It's all just an interpretation. It's a representation. It's how you're experiencing this, how you're receiving it. It's all based on your mindset. And until, if you're not happy with it, it's not feeling good. If you're worried and stressed and all that, it's because that's the programming you're running from. So we need to go all the way back before the program, which feels like death. Because when you get to it, and everyone's being confronted, you're being forced now. There's no time left. You have to get on with it and do this, because the world is moving on, whether you like it or not. And, I'm afraid to say for you is that it's either going to amplify. It's like that movie Sphere. Do you remember Sphere? Lawrence Fishburne, I think, back in the early 90s. it's going to amplify. The energy is going to become greater. It's going to amplify whatever programs you've got running. So you're getting an opportunity now, a real valuable one, to go deep, to release the fear and just let it go. And when I say let it go, don't be like, oh, just let it go, be spiritual and let it go. I mean, dump the code. Like, it's not useful, okay? Start going beyond. Look at what else is there for you. Start with gratitude. Start with an abundant mindset. Anything that you see in your reality that corresponds to gratitude, to being grateful for something, to seeing the abundance of things, to finding peace and calm and relaxation and feeling health, and observing health. All those things, a great core place to start. And, everything else, it's probably not essential. It's probably not even important. It's not in your future. It's not who you're becoming. So don't worry about it too much, okay? Just move on, adapt. Let yourself be molded. Let yourself be consumed by the old energy and burned up, and become the phoenix and rise from your ashes. There is so much good that will be in the next several years, decades, century, okay? But we need to get rid of some of these old archaic ideas, and some of them are manifest and they're obvious in the world. You can see them and go, that's fucking stupid and it doesn't belong in the future, and it's obvious. But this stuff inside, at a deeper level, in the mind, in the body, the emotional stuff, the energetic code of who you are, it's very subtle, okay? And to get down into those deeper layers, you need an exaggerated contrast. And this is what the Alan Watts said the Zen master would do, is that they'd thrust you deep inside the program. They wouldn't rescue you from it. They wouldn't give you the answer to escape it. They would put you deeper into it so you could figure it out and overcome it. And then it's like a cheat code in a video game. Once you figure it out how to beat the boss, left, right, up, down, A button, B button, and you just see it's a pattern, okay? It's just a code, and you're like, okay, that's all it is. It's another cycle, it's another transition. Maybe it's in a different scale, maybe it's amplified, maybe it's, over the top this time. And, but we've been through this many, many times. It's like 100-year cycle. Every year 20 of the century, there's some kind of disease that gets spread. It's a Spanish flu, it's a plague, it's the same thing. There's a renewal, a cleaning out of the old, and the new emerges from the ruins of the new world emerges from the ruins of the old world. So just relax, allow things to pass. If the more you hold on, the worse it'll be. The quicker you let go, just go, okay, fair enough, and find another pathway. Let go of that, start writing something else, the better it's going to be for you and everyone around you.